Well, we already knew that President Donald Trump's White House had deep pockets, but now we're getting a sense of just how deep. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner may be worth more than $700 million. The White House has revealed that little tidbit just days after Ivanka Trump took a job in the West Wing. New documents also show how much the power couple made last year, $195 million. We're also learning that the top economic advisor, Gary Cohn, made around $75 million, and Chief Strategist Steve Bannon earned more than $2 million. Keep in mind, their total assets are worth a lot more. And those figures are, of course, from 2016, before Donald Trump took office. Some ethics experts are flagging concerns, as you'd expect. Our Ryan Nobles has more on this from the White House. Ryan, it's interesting looking at these figures. When you look at just the assets, Ivanka and Jared, $700 million. Steve Bannon, about $12 million in bank accounts and real estates. And his communications spokeswoman, Kellyanne Conway, up to $44 million in assets. We knew that the Trump administration was the wealthiest in history, but should we be surprised by these figures?
I don't know if surprise is the right word, Linda. I mean, we've known for some time that not only the president himself, but the people that he surrounds himself with are very successful in the business world. That was part of his pitch to the American people, that we're going to bring these very successful people with us to the White House, and they're going to try and fix what's happening here in Washington. They come from an outsider's perspective, people with a view of how the business world works, and they're going to apply that work to what happens here at the White House. But to your point, there are people that are very concerned that because they have such various holdings and such connections that are not only here in the United States, but have influence all around the world, that may in some way color their decision making here. That's one of the reasons that the White House came forward with this document revelation on Friday, something they promised to do during the campaign, to kind of outline where those assets lie, so that they can be upfront about it. Whether or not that alleviates all those concerns, I think probably remains to be seen.
Yeah, one of those concerns was regards to whether foreign officials would stay in the Trump Hotel in D.C. to curry favor with the Trump administration. But that issue is not going to go away anytime soon. I want to look at one other issue, the investigation into possible collusion between Russia and the Trump team. Now, the sacked former national advisor Flynn said he will testify if given immunity, but of course it wasn't very long ago that he and President Trump said immunity equaled guilt. Yeah. Let's just take a listen to what they said last year.
If you're not guilty of a crime, what do you need immunity for, right?
When you are given immunity, that means that you've probably committed a crime.
How the tables have turned, Ryan.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Linda. There's no question that this is a bit of a hypocritical position for the White House to be in, both Flynn asking for immunity and the president backing him up in that search for immunity. But aside from all of that, there's a bigger question here in just what value Flynn offers this investigation. There's no doubt that both the Intel committees in the House and Senate would like to talk to him, but at this point, neither have granted him that immunity he is looking for. So he could be the key cog in this entire investigation, but whether or not the information he has is valuable enough for them to offer that carrot of immunity is something we still don't know the answer to.
And it was interesting to look at President Trump yesterday when he was about to sign the executive order on trade, and he was asked about Flynn. Let's just take a look at this.
Thank you, everybody. You're going to see some very, very strong results very, very quickly. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, today with your tweet, were you trying to tell the Justice Department to grant immunity to Michael Flynn? Were you trying to do that, Mr. President? Was that your intention, Mr. President, sir?
Thank you, President.
Mr. President, was that your intention, Mr. President? Was that your intention, sir?
Sorry, he didn't actually even sign the executive order in the end. How do you think he's coping with all of this?
Yeah, I don't know what we can really glean from that moment other than to say it was awkward and uncomfortable. At one point, the vice president had to go over and pick the executive orders off of the Resolute desk in the Oval Office and then take it into that side room where the president had gone to. It seemed pretty clear that he was not interested in answering any questions. Now, he's certainly under no obligation to do so in those photo ops, but usually correspondents like Major Garrett from CBS there attempt to try and get a question in. You know, at this point, it seems as though the White House is doing everything they can to distract away from the topic of Russia and the topic of wiretapping and surveillance and talk about these bigger bigger issues. It's not easy, though, because this cloud looms so large over Washington right now.
It certainly does. Ryan Nobles, it's always good to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.